What's going on, Jam Fam? Welcome back to the gaming station. So, as you can tell from the title and thumbnail, today we're going to be working on the Solo Showdown meta list. Now, real quick disclaimer, Solo Showdown doesn't really have, like, quote-unquote a meta, because any brawler can win and have a successful time pushing trophies with the right strategy, whether that's teaming or bush camping or whatever. But I think it's still good to look at win rate and pick rates of brawlers, just to get a feel for what you might encounter when you're going into the mode. Also, my man Green Apple Gaming requested me to do this video, so this is for you, buddy. Also, if you're new, I'm not going to explain how I'm getting my list. You can go back and watch my gem grab video. I'll leave a link to that in the description. Also, check out my Brawl Ball video, because I'm doing all the modes in the same way. This is the third video in this series. Okay, and with all that out of the way, let's get into my honorable mentions. So, I only got 2 honorable mentions this time around, and the first one's going to be BB.
Brilliant, BB!
Right now, my main brawler, BB, has the third highest win rate in Solo Showdown at 56.3%. But she only has the 12th highest use rate at 2%, so she didn't quite make the list this time around. However, these are really respectable numbers, and depending on the map you're playing on, she can definitely dominate if there's a lot of walls or a lot of bushes for her to hide in. So, if Showdown's your thing and you want to push her in Showdown, like I said, pay attention to the map. If there's a lot of bushes or a lot of walls, give her a try. And my second honorable mention is gonna be Edgar.
Don't touch the scar!
So right now, Edgar has the 10th highest win rate at 52.5% and the 3rd highest use rate at 11.85%. So technically he does qualify for the list. The problem is that I prioritize win rate over use rate, and because he's 10th in win rate, there are brawlers that are also qualified and they rank above him, so he just didn't make the list this time. However, he is extremely deadly in Showdown, especially if you have your gadget. Being able to sit and wait to get your super and then being able to jump on top of somebody and close a kill really quickly is extremely beneficial, especially for Showdown. So if you want to push him, Showdown is definitely a good mode to push him in. Alright, with my honorable mentions out of the way, let's get into the top 5. Number 5 is going to be Karl. Right now, Karl has the 8th highest win rate at 54.1% and the 5th highest use rate at 5.5%. I'm actually a little surprised about this because Karl did just receive a nerf and he is a little difficult to play, especially with his super being harder to charge now. However, I have always said that Karl is one of those brawlers that doesn't have a bad matchup, so being able to be super flexible and be able to match up against pretty much any brawler you see is extremely beneficial. And also, his gadget gives him an escapability or a gap closer, depending on how you need to use it, so that's extremely flexible as well. So overall, I'm not really surprised that he actually made the list this time. Alright, moving on to the next brawler. Number 4 is going to be El Primo. I'm a little surprised by this one, but right now, El Primo is tied for the 5th highest win rate at 54.9% and has the 6th highest use rate at 4.3%. I'm going to admit that it's entirely possible that his numbers are a little inflated because the last 2 maps that were in rotation were Cavern Churn and Island Invasion, and he does pretty well on those maps because there's a lot of bushes either on the outskirts or right in the middle. So this can lead to a bush camp style of play where you're hiding in a bush until you get to 4th place, which I believe Brawl Stats counts as a win anything above 4th place, so that would contribute to an inflated win rate. However, if you disagree and you think that El Primo is really good in Showdown, comment down below because I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. So, since I don't really have much more to say about El Primo, we're going to move on to the next brawler. And the next brawler is actually going to be a little bit of a surprise that he's so low on the list, but it's going to be Colt.
Too pretty for pain.
So, Colt is tied with El Primo at 5th place in win rate at 54.9%, but he has an astronomically high amount of use rate at 24.37%. Now, I've said in the past that Colt's use rates are really, really high because everybody's touting him, being around like 7 and I think 11% depending on the mode, but 24% is unheard of. That is insanely high. But to still hold a top 5 win rate with such a large sample size speaks volumes to how well he's doing in Showdown. And of course, there's a lot of reasons why. Colt can do a ton of damage if anybody gets in his range. His super makes it so that people can't hide behind walls when they get too low. And then of course, he's got his gadget, which adds more wall break to his kit and allows him to snipe down people when they get into like mid-tier health. So yeah, Colt's clearly solid in Showdown. These numbers suggest it, so if you want to play him there, go ahead and do it. But we're going to move on from Colt. The number 2 brawler on my list is actually going to be Bo. Right now, Bo has the 2nd highest win rate at 56.9% and the 8th highest use rate at 3.22%. In my opinion, Bo is a lot like Karl, where he doesn't really have any terrible matchups, being able to have a good amount of health and range, and he can do decent damage when somebody gets close and he can land all 3 of his shots. And also, like Primo, he benefits from bushes a lot because he can camp and use his super totem to charge his super passively. And if you're running Circling Eagle, you can see into bushes before you get anywhere near them. Or if you're running Snare Bear, you can use your mines to really control an area, and when somebody steps on them and they get stunned, it's basically a guaranteed kill. So overall, Bo's just really solid. He's got a solid kit, and depending on your playstyle for Showdown, he can definitely get some wins, and you can push consistently with him. All right, now we're going to be moving on to the number 1 brawler on my list. Number 1 is actually going to be B.
I'm the
Now, B has super solid stats. She's number 1 in win rate at 62.4% and has the number 2 use rate at 13.22%. Both of these are top tier numbers, and she's doing solid in the mode. There's a lot of reasons why B is good in Showdown. She can 2-tap a lot of brawlers, being able to do just over 4,000 damage if you land both your normal and your charge shot on somebody. She has really good range, so she never really needs to get super close to anybody, and her new gadget, Rattling Hive, makes it impossible for people to hide behind walls when they're faced against her. So she's got all that going for her, and then she has access to Honeycoat, which is nice if you get stuck in a bad situation or you get hit by a stray shot or something like that. So yeah, right now B is performing extremely well in Showdown, and everybody should give her a try if you want to push B. So just to recap, the top 5 brawlers I got are Karl, Primo, Colt, Bo, and B. I'm actually really happy with the way this list turned out. All these brawlers make sense in some way to me, except for maybe Primo, but like I said, his numbers could be inflated because of the maps that were just in rotation. But let me know who you like to play in Showdown right now and what you think of this list overall. The next mode I got coming up is going to be Siege. Not everyone's favorite mode, but it's one of my favorite modes, so I wanted to go over the list. So stay tuned for that. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.